Okay, so I guess it's about time I start my panel. Hello, everyone. This is Emma, and I am a mod developer. I've been working on way too many projects to list for quite a few years. Uh, and today I wanted to talk about creativity and innovation in Minecraft because you usually hear a lot of mod developers say that they cannot come up with unique ideas and that they cannot bring anything new to the table. And what we're seeing lately is a lot of just revamps of the same feature but slightly different, just trying to one up each other all the time. Just a bit sad considering the amount of possibilities that we have in Minecraft because we have pretty much unlimited creative freedom. So I wanted to talk about that and how I come up with ideas for my mods. I would love to have iTunes in here, but he's a bit busy and it's a bit late for him already. So, oh well. Uh, but he is one of the people that I look up to the most for creative ideas and just different ways of doing things. For example, and this is something I said on Discord earlier today. Not sure what the reaction was because not that many people replied, but iTunes, as I see it, always finds a way to take the same concept and implement it in many different ways so that it's pretty much a unique mod every time. So if you look at Glass, he's done that like at least another 6 or 7 times. But now it's a completely different mod, a completely different concept, but it's all based on the same thing. And that is part of the point where I want to get to. That is, you don't have to create something entirely new for it to be unique and for it to be creative. And I think that is something that a lot of people don't actually see. They think that if they want to make something unique, it has to be completely new from scratch. But there are very, very few quote unquote unique or new things created at any point in time. It's just always a twist on something that already exists. So, what I'm essentially trying to say is don't really worry all that much if you cannot come up with one specific creative idea that you think, oh, this is new, nobody has done this before. But instead, try to find a new way to do something that has already been done by someone else in a completely new way or in at least in a different way so that it doesn't feel like it's the same thing. For example, I have my tubes here. These are fairly original, but if you really look at them and at their feature set,
Red power
it's
tubes.
not really actually. They are a mix of red power and buildcraft, as well as carset and a bit of Ender IO slash thermodynamics. So they do have a lot of unique ways of behaving, but they are based off of other things. So these tubes, for example, only follow 3 rules. If the item can go forward, it will. If the item cannot go forward, but it can go at a 90-degree angle, it will pick a random direction. And if it cannot go forward or at a 90-degree angle, it will just drop. And that in itself, combined with other stuff to modify that behavior, I think makes for a fairly unique view on item pipes. Because you don't really see that many systems anymore where clicking the screen where you can actually say only specific items or items of a specific color can go this way, but what happens to the rest? The rest actually just follow the same simple rules. So essentially what I do, and when I tell people I have two, and I'm currently working on a third full A4 size notebook with ideas, they kind of question what I do with my free time. I really just come up with things that I'd say, oh, this is neat. This is neat. But what if it worked this other way? What if this was actually, I don't know. What if the tubes, let's say, when the item cannot go anywhere, it creates a small vortex and it eats every item that goes through to that point for the next second. That is a relatively unique mechanic. I haven't seen that before. I just came up with it. It could make, with some thinking for more features, for a very interesting mechanic. No, I am not jumping on blocks right now. So, really, thinking creatively in general is not as much of coming with new ideas, as much as it is rehashing ideas that already exist.
And putting your own personal twist on it.
Pretty much. Or just do something that you wouldn't have ever thought of. Like, just come up with some kind of crazy, completely out there idea, completely out of nowhere, and say, okay, I don't know if I like this or not. I'm going to make it a thing. And once you do, or once you actually start thinking about it, there is actually a lot of playroom in there. So it's just really a matter of, let's take this idea. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Let's work on it so it's actually good. I don't know what people are saying in chat. I'm going to drop this. You brought back the spark. I had to make a Minecraft mod, and you keep it running my cold heart. Well, thank you. So I really don't do that much original stuff. Let's see. I would like to see tubes that can transfer both liquids and both fluids and liquids. So I assume you mean items and fluids. That is an interesting idea. How would the physics of that work? Like, would you actually have a weight system? So when you get to an intersection, something like this, if you have water flowing through this, would some items actually go up and others go down? That would be an interesting sorting system. And again, this is just coming up with it right on the spot.
And in Chaucer, AC's experiment with finding out, whether items are ingots or wooden, and sort of automatically having them have certain properties. So you could probably try to find all kinds of wooden items and have them float similarly.
Yeah. It's really just a matter of playing around with a concept that already exists and trying to find a twist on it that's never been done before. Another thing, for example, that I wanted to do for the Super Secret mod, and I actually wanted it to be here at BTM. I didn't really have time for it, but that is essentially robotic arms that can be programmed like in Opus Magnum. That is not an original idea, but it is original in the context of Minecraft. I don't think that has ever been done before. But what if it wasn't only robotic arms? What if that programmer would let you, I don't know, turn on and off the side of a pipe or something similar to that? the only Zachtronics game that has not yet been turned into a mod. I am already
That's
working
true.
on it, don't worry. And it is gonna be part of the super secret mod. So, yeah, I really, honestly, haven't prepared anything for this panel because I really just wanted to do kind of a creative, let's throw together ideas session and see what we can all come up with together. Mainly just that, and say like, hey, don't worry if you cannot come up with something cool. Ideas just pop into your head when you see something you like. So just base your idea on something that you like. Just think of it. Try to come up with what if questions that would make that that idea different and original and unique and something that you haven't seen before. And also, yes, SCM. SCM is another example of something that is not really original, but it is different. It's not a unique idea, but it is very different from anything else that's been done in Minecraft before. So if you guys want, we can do like a quick, quote unquote, quick, a 45-minute long idea session of just trying to come up with something unique and trying to see what we could turn into a mod. Hopefully someone in here, it will not be me because I don't have time. Hopefully someone will actually make it into something I can all play with, maybe at next BTM. So if anyone has mod that makes BTM not crash, I could try to do that. I will try my best to do a couple things for next BTM. So if anyone has like a base idea, and we can just do brainstorm.
Well, I have an idea that I have kind of
Oh
implemented.
boy, that's loud.
Sorry?
That is very loud. And a mod that makes a mod.
So,
Well,
is this better?
That would be.
Yes.
it is slightly.
Sorry, audio on this laptop is a bit weird.
It's a
so
bit better
I have-
now.
Yeah, I have this idea like reactors, like from industrial craft. I feel like they are designed around the player being intelligent enough to come up with a good design for it. But that doesn't work since the rules are the same for every world, so you can just Google it, find a design on the internet and copy that. I had this idea about generating new rules, or at least changing the rules slightly, some constants or something, per world. So the player has to find out what works themselves.
You could also
Oh,
make it
yeah.
so you could also make it so you have to train your machines to do what you want.
Train
Let me actually disable
Going with the
this
AI
mod.
idea, you could make it so you have to train your machines to get them to work exactly how you want.
That would be interesting.
And as the durability changes, the efficiency of it changes.
Yeah.
In fact,
So,
I would like to see a mod which has modular machines where each machine part has durability and different properties. That would be really nice. And then build them using multi-part.
There was a mod that actually wanted to use MCMP, and it wanted to do some sort of microblock based machines of some sort. And essentially, each microblock would have a specific functionality, and you would be able to combine multiple of those in the same block space to do the actual machine behavior. Not sure if that was actually made into a full mod, but if it wasn't, there you go. That's another idea.
I was thinking about other alternatives to the existing transportation. Well, that was before up and down and all around. But I had a few other ideas, like what about shoes that let you use rails? Like shoes that
That would be
align you to rails railcraft rails as well, I guess, and let you run on them.
Combine
So,
that
like-
with a jetpack.
Yes.
Or put ice under the rails.
You should take a look at the new track API.
Immersive engineering has those skyhooks where you can hook into like the wires that you can put between the wire
That's
connectors.
cool. That's
And
unique.
that would probably be a good mod to put it in. Have like shoes that allow you to maybe ride on steel wires as well and on rails and stuff.
Oh, that would be interesting. So instead of hanging from it, you actually slide over it.
Yeah.
And
It could be fun minigame where you actually have to keep your balance as well, otherwise you fall off.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Nice jetpack boots in general would be nice. Ones that don't
Yeah.
just give you creative flight, but where you can bump into wall and die because you flew too fast. And combine that with Elytra, and then you have kind of infinite flight, possibly.
Yeah.
Along with up and down all around, which just changes the direction of gravity. So you basically can fall to your death instead of
A water
just float
jetpack is
around.
cool.
Yeah, up and down and all around combined with some sort of slime boots would also be pretty interesting. So you can just walk up to any wall and you will immediately just start walking up it. It just magically
And once
someone
you lose
mentioned
contact, you fall, obviously.
someone mentioned a water jetpack. Immersive engineering also has going back to immersive engineering. I like that one. Has a
It's a
chem
nice
thrower
mod.
where you can throw any sort of liquid out, and I guess you could make a jetpack that could function similarly. Where if you either have enough of that liquid, you could just use it or pressurize it, and then fly with that. Or you can turn it on to
And if
ignite
it's
the
a
liquid,
flat-
and certain liquids would ignite and create thrust.
that'd be
So-
interesting.
Or you could use like cold liquids to instead freeze a lake that you fly over or so. I don't know.
That could be neat. That could be
Have
pretty interesting.
explosive liquids.
Yeah. You could probably reuse the same stuff where it would basically create a chem, the spray liquid is the exact same way as it does the chem thrower, and anything below would be affected in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of an oxidation reaction, it would be some sort of opposite reaction that would instead freeze it. So one of the ideas I had, this is reading from chat. One of the ideas I had but don't know how to implement is an assembly line for multi-part configurations that are viewable in world. That would be very interesting. So essentially, I'm assuming what you mean is you have a conveyor belt or something like that, and you can just push components of the block into the conveyor belt space, and they are composed into one full thing.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. And yes, that would be very cool. That is actually something I somewhat plan on doing in the super secret mod.
Isn't that like a mini dimension with small rooms that and the sides being interactive with the sides of the machine? That
No,
already
I
exists.
think Bobby's means in the same block space, like multi-part components, like covers that could be pushed into the same block space to build a machine with some sort of automation with pistons or something like that.
I love that.
Along with chisel and bits.
Yeah, Chisel and Bits is multi-part compatible, so definitely.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
couldn't-
I'm actually
you don't
planning on
have to
doing
make-
something like that in the super secret mod.
So
You
moving,
don't have to make panels
moving
out of like
components or moving bits, basically.
You would essentially push the things into the block, so it could be that. What would actually be pretty interesting is if you could push the actual logic elements in, and then you can push a casing made out of bits or covers for the actual visual style of the block.
Yeah.
That would be pretty neat.
I'm not sure how the interactivity works because you only have 6 sides to a block. As Direwolf said once.
Yeah. Except
What do you
when you
mean?
use
What's the problem with that?
Yeah, that's actually true. Well, there's no real problem with that.
Not really, but actually, if you have two machines next to each other and they too push items outside, the other machine can pick it up at the same location.
Yeah.
So you could have more bandwidth that way.
That's probably
Yeah.
a good idea to limit the amount that a single block can do, and instead have it be done by multiple blocks.
Yeah, remember the days when we had single-sided, or well, like where all inventories in a block were available on all sides, and then somebody came up with a great idea of having them only be available on specific sides, and now we're back to the original state because people are lazy and they don't want to properly assign sides.
Oh no, that's probably just because it's more powerful that way to be able to pull out items from the top.
Well, yeah,
and everyone wants you to be able to do that.
It's also easier to do item filtering and extracting and inserting and stuff like that.
Well, it's easier, but like that's what I'm saying. Like mods are like, oh well, this is kind of I can't be asked to do this, so I'm just gonna have this available from all sides.
Well, it's not always needed to have multiple sites that behave differently, but when it's needed, it's nicer to have it configurable in the styles of Ender.io or...
No, I don't like GUIs. I think we're going with the idea of building your own machines. You can instead build a machine that just pushes out items from the top.
Ender.io can be configured from just a wrench from the outside. Probably go.
Okay.
You know
fine.
that?
Well, I don't like Ender.io. Yeah.
I like the GUI design of thermal expansion for the same thing.
Oh, that was the other one. Yes. I wanted to mention that, but I lost it.
I think thermal expansion does that well, if only because everything is so streamlined.
Yeah.
Thermal expansion is a very well designed mod. It's very it follows a very specific set of rules and it does it all the time. It's a very predictable mod. It's very good. That is something that more mod developers should actually try and do. Like try and keep things more or less consistent, so a player that has used one block can predict how pretty much all the others will work.
Yeah, it's very intuitive.
And on top of that, it sort of follows its own lore. Like it doesn't just well, let's just add this new liquid for this specific purpose, but they're designing liquids and giving them lore and telling you where are they from and how they form, and how does glowstone form, and then they make this liquid glowstone actually flows upwards and solidifies.
Yeah.
And each of the metals has a specific purpose. So gold, for example, is for energy input, I believe, and silver is for energy output. So
Electrum can do both.
Electrum.
Exactly.
Or it can't do both. It can do a combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very...
And it's really, really cool as like a thermal expansion using that and all the companion mods as base for other mods. So it's a nice thing to build stuff around, build mod packs around.
Yeah, I think that's in part why a lot of people started making stuff based on thermal expansion and the RF API back in the day, because they saw there was some sort of consistency and that they could base everything they made off of that. So that kind of gives you that certain feeling that you're not just making something because reasons. It actually has a purpose inside of the Minecraft lore, or well, in this case, the thermal expansion lore. So somebody says in chat, an IC2 add-on that adds rockets. Yes, I really like rockets. One of the features would be solar panels in space that send energy back to Earth with lasers. That would actually be pretty interesting. Dyson swarms, please, player. That would be very interesting. And occasionally laser miss and set fires like in SimCity. That would be interesting. So, anyone else have like any general ideas that they would like to share, and we can just build on top of them?
Well, I had for well, recently the idea. You all know portable mining tools that's powered by electricity. They're usually in most mods they have a battery, and that needs to be recharged. And sometimes I have the idea that you don't have a battery. You carry a cable with you, let's say 200 meters long or so. It spans all across the way you walked, and it has a limited length. So yeah, you have to think where you walk and get the cable untangled in this way.
That would be interesting. So, like, batteries are a higher quote unquote tier item. And at first, you probably want to just use a cable, and then you can move on to batteries once you get access to them.
Yeah, something like that. So you have a generator out of your cave and lay a cable, well, that follows you simply by walking, and yeah.
You could make it in the sense that Astroneer does it with these lifeline thingies that you place. And then
But that's very similar to thermal expansion. Oh, not thermal expansion, immersive engineering, sorry.
Yes, it could totally be integrated into immersive engineering, I think.
The question is, I think, would it be an entity on the ground, or would it be blocks like?
My idea was it would be an entity that has like corner nodes that every time you walk around the corner, so that there's not a clear line since the last node, it will create another node in that corner, and you continue walking. Yeah, and the cable will wiggle around the edges and so on.
Oh, I see. That is slightly more involved.
Yeah. That's interesting. Somebody in chat says, stealing one of Vexitos's ideas, a creeper whose explosion strength is drawn from nearby RF sources. That is actually something that was posted on the FTB subreddit, and also something that I came up with. Well, no, I don't think it was me specifically. The patrons may be able to say who it was, because it did actually happen in the community channel on IRC a few months ago. But like about a year ago, I was talking about the energy systems that were going to be in the super secret mod, and essentially we came up with the idea of the power creep, essentially a creeper-like mob that draws power from nearby power lines, and when it overloads, it explodes and discharges all at once, which can fry your machine.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna have to agree with Brandon's sentiment that name is just so horrible.
that it is intentional, though.
Also, I feel like punishing a player for using a mechanic isn't good. I learned that firsthand with Mana Storm Creepers back in Botanical Add-ons.
I've actually come up with a couple interesting twists for it, which is those power creeps only show up if you work with high voltage energy lines, and they start very small and they grow as they get more charge. But where does that small size come from? Well, it starts because they have a small charge in them from the start. So you can actually use power creeps as a form of generating power, because they will spawn around high power lines, and you just keep feeding the same power to those lines over and over. You get that plus the extra from the power creeps. So if you manage to set up a system that uses that, you can actually use a power creep farm to generate power.
Beautiful.
So that's actually going to be a feature.
Would you call it then feature creep?
Yes. Pretty much.
Have you been waiting for that one?
No, it just occurred.
Nice.
So yeah, the Super Secret mod actually has quite a few places where it pokes fun at RF and stuff like that. By the way, it doesn't use RF. I'm sorry if anyone was expecting that.
Yes.
It has multiple power systems, none of which are RF.
Tesla then?
No.
Edison?
I'm building my own real-life based electricity system. I already have a fully implemented kinetic energy system, and later on we'll be doing heat and laser stuff.
I'm also working on such a thing. I have already heat based on real-life thermodynamics and kinetic energy based on a shaft multi-block structure, and also thought of lasers with real optics. We have lenses and mirrors and such a thing, and you have to focus this laser beam and all that.
Nice.
All
But
these
the
creep
laser thing is
puns.
only idea. I haven't implemented it yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I already have the kinetic energy fully implemented. I didn't include it in the demo because there's really only a shaft block and a creative supplier and consumer of energy. The gears don't have textures yet, so I didn't want to include those. And the person that's supposed to be working on conveyor belts is, according to him, busy with work. He's just busy playing Dota. So I guess I'm gonna have to implement those myself.
Don't do the kids.
So programmable androids that can do anything, but that can do anything you can, but the more complex tasks you give them, the higher chance of it developing self-awareness and trying to take over your base. And to defeat the androids, you have a mini boss fight, and that for a time completely removes the ability to develop self-awareness. That is unique. That is certainly unique. Would be interesting to develop that into a mod idea. Not sure how well it would play as part of a normal pack, but as a thematic pack, a thematic mod pack, it could probably be pretty interesting. So, any other ideas? I'm trying to think of any of mine.
I had an idea of a reactor that kind of works like a hungry node, whereas it consumes placed blocks in the world, and according to the hardness of the block and the mining level, it will generate a programmed amount of power.
That would be interesting. And like tuning that reactor to specific blocks could maybe give you more energy from those and less from others.
Yeah.
Either that or giving it a varied diet would give you more output.
Oh, if you build a reactor like that, I'm just thinking about what if its the theoretical output is like either quite large or even infinite, but if you try to draw too much power from it, it just starts eating more and more of the world around it.
It then starts
that would be very
corrupting chunks, and then
and then it turns into a draconic reactor because that's what we're describing.
I was gonna say, technically the draconic reactor already does that. It just eats all the wall around it.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to feed it items though.
True.
I've always wanted to have a rework tool system, and one of the parts that I liked is instead of having a durability, you'd have basically an effectiveness where as you continue using it, the tool gets slower and slower. So you have either the chance, you can either repair it and keep it at a high effectiveness, and possibly even repair it with like a what are they called, the wheels that sharpen them?
Whetstones?
Yeah, whetstones,
yeah.
or the grinding wheels or whatever. And but that would reduce the either a hidden durability or something like that, or the weight of the tool, which would then go into all the ideas with like how weight affects the tool effectiveness and stuff like that. But basically, remove the durability and replace it with essentially sharpness of the tool. Or
That'd
have
be
the
cool.
effectiveness be a layer on top of the durability of the tool.
Yeah, maybe have them be bound by default.
Bound.
The more you use it, the more the effectiveness goes down, as well as the durability. But you can repair the durability and the effectiveness separately. So you could have a tool that's about to break, but it's still effective.
And repairing the durability would probably lower the effectiveness a lot because you're adding new material.
Yeah.
So you'd have to sharpen again, and you'd have to start like taking care of your tools. You could have like oils and stuff which you'd use to tune your tools. Whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, and actually, considering that thing you just said, sharpening it would actually take away from the durability.
Yep.
Because you're taking away material. So you would start with a pretty useless tool. You have to sharpen it, but it would lose durability. You would have to find a balance to actually get it to last you a while and still work.
That's super interesting idea with all the mechanics of it, because it's like it creates a bunch of choices. And do you want a so-so tool that'll last forever, or do you want a tool that'll last, or do you want a really good tool that'll last no time at all? And you could have like modifiers, like as I said, oils, or just anything which affects the tool's properties. But sharpening would obviously remove those, so you'd have to have a balance again.
And eventually, if the effectiveness gets too low, that there's a chance that the block you mine is not dropped or something like that.
Yeah, so there's no just ignoring the system.
Yeah. Maybe the lower the effectiveness, after a certain point, you would start getting less and less drops in general. So things like redstone that can drop many items would start dropping less and less.
You could simply choose a drop with chance of the method that blocks already have.
Not all blocks do that, I don't think.
You're just talking about a negative fortune effect, I suppose.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's something like negative fortune.
I don't believe that negative fortune is supported in the code for ores. I think that fortune is calculated separately. Don't quote me on that.
I think it may be, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's roughly an addition to the drop num. I forget what I was talking about. Basically, it adds on to the actual thing that's going to be dropping, so it's a bonus. Something like that.
So somebody in chat says, mod name The Secrets of Minecraft, in which you build particle accelerators, blow up nukes to make singularities to discover what makes Minecraft, and the most endgame item is a universe box which generates infinite power, but to do so you have to go inside the box and enslave the native populations. That sounds a lot like Rick and Morty.
Yep, that's just the
Yep.
thought I
That
had.
sounds
that doesn't even
sounds like Rick and
no,
Morty.
that doesn't sound a lot like Rick and Morty. That is an episode of Rick and Morty.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the joke, man. We're saying that because it is Rick and Morty. Oh.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
What about a power system where if you overload the power network, it blows up the machines, so you have to create enough power for your machines, but not too much or too little?
Oh, I see too.
Yes, I have like a tolerance, maybe. Too little and they won't do anything, too much and they will blow up.
Because in the real world, you can't store much energy in a big grid network like we have. And if the grid draws too much power, it causes blackouts. And if if we produce too much, it fries everything.
Yeah, maybe having like less OP batteries, because right now you can store stupid amounts of power, but in real life, with the power draw of something like a macerator, and I know players probably very angry right now that we're saying this, because that is IC2. With a battery in real life, you cannot store all that much power to run something like a macerator if that was a thing in real life, the way it is in Minecraft. You wouldn't be able to run it for too long on a battery.
Also, this plan for my mechanics and thermodynamics energy system, I was planning that if the shaft is the shafts have a speed, and if you add power, give energy to the shaft, it just accelerate and gets faster by RPM. And if machines consume power, they slow the shaft. So
yeah,
reminds me of what's it called again? Better with mods as well, where you have the windmills, and if the windmills are actually active during a storm, they will actually break. And additionally, I guess you would need some power. You would need to use the power if you end up having too much. Otherwise, yeah, the machines do break. So just having like a motor that just doesn't actually power anything, just to eat the extra energy.
But that would heat up, and what if the motor broke because it was too hot?
Yeah, probably if you have too much energy for too long, then that motor would just.
So you'd have to find, like, a significant part of the progression would be finding new ways to burn power.
Essentially, or finding the perfect way that fits your needs to generate not too much power, just enough for your needs.
Add like durability to the machines, and then if your motor, it's running fine, but eventually it's gonna just not work anymore because it's been running too long, and suddenly your power system breaks down because your excess motors run out of durability.
Yeah.
Then you need to build machines that constantly replace parts of other machines that run dry, and then you need to eventually, like, if you do that long enough, you need to think about machines that then replace the machines that replace the machines.
That would be very interesting, actually. I thought of the whole just generate what you're going to use concept for the Super Secret mod. I probably will make it a thing, but I hadn't thought of like making machines replace other machines. That would be very interesting. The good thing is they would go exponentially lower to the point where you can just replace one machine yourself. So if the machine that's plugged into the system itself breaks, I don't know, once every day, the one that replaces it would break once every month. And the one that replaces that one would break once every, I don't know, multiple years. That one you could actually replace yourself because it wouldn't be that much effort. That would be interesting. A magic-based mod where you are a werewolf or a werewolf hunter and each have its own perks. I don't think there are any werewolf-based mods.
I think there's something.
There's
similar.
Witchery, but
Witchery
that is not
old and dead.
Yeah, it's not fully based around werewolves.
Yeah, but you have voodoo and you can hunt people, I believe, and stuff.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
yes.
But doing a witchery style mod that expands on those ideas would be very cool.
Yeah. The one thing I'm asking if someone does that is like have actual like deep thinking when designing things, so it's not just as superficial as many mods are, where they just add a feature and that's it. So give it a lore, let it have its own quirks, not all just be good and bad, but have something that could be either good or bad depending on how it's used or what the conditions are. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we have too many mods that just try to be the best ever, and a few that actually try to offer interesting design decisions as like a player that's actually playing the game.
Yeah, that is in part like pretty much the biggest reason why I'm working on the super secret mod.
What about a drill that the head wears down over time, so you have to replace it, but it still can take power and be reusable?
Immersive engineering.
Didn't immersive engineering add something like that? I actually had plans for something similar. But I think immersive engineering added it.
A wearable drill? Or like one that you carry to mine stuff? Or a drill that a machine uses, or like an entity?
I'm thinking mining drill, but I had plans for both in world and the other.
My mod, Type Automation, which was on Minecraft 1.10, had automatic miner which used drills that took your ability, so you had to replace the drill every 4,000 blocks or so. And you were able to enchant the drill for a portion or so. And
yeah, I got that idea as well from Fortresscraft Evolved, back when Direwolf was playing that. I thought it was a pretty neat idea that nobody had really done in Minecraft before, giving things a durability in a miner, and also eating up the entire, or having bigger ore veins and having a system that mines them up from the back to where you have the miner placed. That would be pretty interesting.
I want bigger ore veins so much, different qualities and all that kind of stuff. Just port it all from Terraformacraft.
Yeah, I'm
pieces
actually
of ore
working
on the ground, so you know
mod
there's like copper or something underneath.
I'm working on a fully new world gen mod for the Super Secret mod, or Super Secret mods pack, and that's gonna do, I think, a pretty new twist on Origin. Essentially, it's gonna be the entire ground is gonna be just regular stone, but it's gonna have a noise map based system that uses the seed of the world and the positions of the blocks to actually determine what ores are at what position, and it'll render in world based on that and drop things based on those noise maps. So you can actually have an ore block that has, I don't know, like 1 bit of copper and 1 bit of gold, but you can have one that has 20 bits of copper and like 5 bits of gold and 1 brass, or not brass, 1 tin or something like that.
So kind of like Minables Overhaul that never really got finished.
Yeah. Maybe you should actually finish that, and I'll use it in the pack. If you guys have time. Which I don't know that you do.
Yeah, time is really the biggest thing of everything.
How would those ores look in the world? I'm wondering.
You would essentially have procedurally generated textures. They would be the stone texture with some overlays of some sort.
And would you support for different types of stones?
Yeah, that would be the idea.
Awesome, I want this.
I'd like
also
to see
breaking a regular ore would actually drop cobblestone and some sort of dust or gravel of the ore instead of dropping an ore block, which I think is something we really need in Minecraft. It's not really been done before, and it kind of makes sense that you get broken stone and some sort of ore mixed with stone.
I mean, we get cobblestone from or from regular stone, and not get stone from ore. Or why not get cobblestone from ore?
Yeah.
Not regular cobblestone, obviously.
What if it dropped cobblestone rocks and you had to craft that together to get a cobblestone block?
There's already a mod that does that, actually.
There's lots of mods which do that.
What about the stackability of ores? I'm just wondering, like, is a specific ore vein always going to have the same types of ores, so they always stack?
No, it drops the ore gravels of the different types, from what I understand.
So you have separate items. I see.
Yeah, either
But
that,
if you-
or
if
it
you're
could
saying-
be essentially an ore pile, and you would put multiple ore piles inside, say, a jar, then shake that, and it would split between the different densities, so you could get the different ores out as separate dusts or separate gravel.
I really dislike the furnace early game. What if we had a bloomery type smelter where you didn't have high quality metal, but it would reduce the durability, but it would be easier to smelt?
That would be nice.
So, working with the sharpening trade-off system, you could make materials which don't hold as much of a sharpness but are easier to make.
Yeah. Or bone stuff that cannot be repaired, but it still has a pretty good efficiency while it actually lasts.
And for the if it's not too hard, I suppose.
Yeah. So it would be more like a start game, early game kind of material.
Yeah, and replace the whole mining level system with just a hardness. So if you're close to the hardness of the target block that you're trying to mine, then it works, but eventually it slows down, and then it doesn't work anymore at all.
Yeah,
and the different alloys that you could make could be depending on how you mix them, could be different hardness, different sharpness and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, actually, that world gen mod I'm working on will actually have different stone layers, and each layer has a different hardness. So if you want to get to the ores that spawn lower down, you will actually need to go through all the previous level pickaxes to be able to get down to that point in the world. So it's not just the hardness of the ore itself, it's the hardness of the rock in the world. Anyway, we're already 7 minutes to the next panel, so that was a pretty nice brainstorming session. If anyone wants to go watch the VOD and steal the ideas, go ahead. Unless somebody says, please don't.
And then do it anyway, because you can do that. Ideas are free.
Essentially. Because there's no one stopping you.